Welcome to the Eastern Iowa Regional Housing Authority's Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher online oral briefing. The purpose of the briefing is to provide you with all the information to successfully complete the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher paperwork process. It will help the Eastern Iowa Regional Housing Authority determine your eligibility for the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Assistance Program. There will be forms that are needed to be completed and signed by all adults in the household. The first form is called the PHA Information Sheet. Please indicate on the information sheet all members that will be residing in your home while you receive rental assistance. Also indicate the children whom you have joint and partial custody. We need the name of the employer and the family member that is employed. All 18 years of age or older must complete this section. If you have an 18-year-old or older attending school, please provide the name of the school. Any expenses that you incur while working, please indicate the name of the child care provider, whether it's school or job related. Any other income received, you will have to indicate below. If you are receiving FIP or food stamps, please indicate the amount of monthly benefit you receive. Any Social Security benefits, please indicate the monthly amount. If you are receiving veterans benefits, indicate the amount, and we will also need to have the file number. Any child support that you may receive, please provide verification. If you are receiving unemployment benefits, please indicate the amount of your weekly benefit. In regards to income assets, please answer yes or no to any of the following questions. Whether you have a checking or savings account, if you have a trust, IRA, stocks, bonds, or CDs, equity in rental property or other capital investments, personal property held as an investment. Have you received any lump sum payments such as inheritance or capital gains, lottery winnings, insurance settlements, whether it's health, accident, or workers' comp, capital gains, pension retirement funds, foster grandparent program? Have you disposed of any assets for less than fair market value in the past 2 years? Are any assets held jointly with another person? Are any household members absent from the home? Are you receiving or will you receive in the future earned income tax credits from your IRS tax return? Please indicate your checking account balance, savings account balance, and current balance on CDs, if any. And if you have answered yes to any of these questions, please provide the necessary documentation if your assets exceed $5,000. For elderly and handicapped and disabled only, please indicate the name of your pharmacy, any out-of-pocket medical expenses you may have, and the name of the address of your health insurance company. You must also list counties and states in which you have lived in the last 3 years. HUD requires the Public Housing Authority to deny assistance in the following cases. Please indicate if any apply to the household. Has any household member had any conviction or arrest for drug-related or violent criminal activity within the past 3 years? Has any household member ever been convicted of drug-related criminal activity for the production of manufacture of methamphetamine on the premises of federally assisted housing? Is any household member subject to a lifetime registration requirement under a state sex offender registration program? 18 U.S.C. 1001 provides, among other things, that whoever knowingly and willingly makes or uses a document or writing containing false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or entry in any matter within the jurisdiction of a department or agency of the United States shall be fined not more than $10,000 or imprisoned for not more than 5 years or both. The Eastern Iowa Regional Housing Authority is firmly committed to providing access, equal opportunity, and reasonable accommodation in its programs, activities, and materials. Please call 563-556-4166 or toll-free within Iowa 800-942-4648 to request accommodation or to obtain materials in an alternate format. If you or anyone in your family is a person with disabilities and you require a specific accommodation in order to fully utilize our programs and services, please contact the Housing Authority. For Spanish-speaking families, you have the right to receive free oral interpretation of the housing document. Please contact the Housing Authority for further assistance. After completing this form, you need to certify that the statements on the application are true to the best of your knowledge and belief, and understand that they will be verified. Understand that any false statement made on this application will be cause for disqualification for admission or termination from the program. The next form is the HUD 9886 Release of Information form. By signing and dating this form, you consent to allow HUD or the Housing Authority to request and obtain income information from the sources listed on this form for the purpose of verifying your eligibility and level of benefits under the HUD's assisted housing programs. Understand that the housing authorities that receive income information under this consent form cannot use it to deny, reduce, or terminate assistance without first independently verifying what the amount was, whether actually had access to the funds, and when the funds were received. In addition, you must be given an opportunity to contest those determinations. Failure to sign the consent form may result in the denial of eligibility or termination of housing-assisted benefits, or both. Denial of eligibility or termination of benefits is subject to the Housing Authority's grievance procedures and Section 8 informal hearing procedures. The next form is the Public Housing Authority's Release of Information form. The Eastern Iowa Regional Housing Authority may use this authorization and the information obtained with it to administer program rules and policies. By signing the form, you are authorizing any release of information to determine eligibility and/or participation in the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Rental Assistance Program. The next form is the HUD 92006 Supplement to Application form. This form is to be provided to each applicant for federally assisted housing. Optional contact person or organization. You have the right by law to include as part of your application for housing the name, address, telephone number, and other relevant information of a family member, friend, or social health advocacy person or other organization. This contact information is the purpose of identifying a person or organization that may be able to help in resolving any issues that may arise during your tenancies or to assist in providing any special care or services you may require. You may update, remove, or change the information you provide on this form at any time. You are not required to provide the contact information, but if you choose to do so, please indicate the relevant information on this form. The next form is the HUD 52675 Debts Owed to Public Housing Authorities. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development maintains a national repository of debts owed to public housing agencies or Section 8 landlords and adverse information of former participants who have voluntarily or involuntarily terminated participation in either public housing, Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher, including the Disaster Housing Assistance Program, Section 8 Moderate Rehab, and the Project-Based Voucher Program. This information is maintained within HUD's Enterprise Income Verification, which is called EIV system, which is used by public housing agencies and their management agents to verify employment and income information of program participants, as well as to reduce administrative and rental assistance payment errors. The EIV system is designed to assist PHAs in HUD in ensuring that families are eligible to participate in HUD rental assistance programs and determining the correct amount of rental assistance a family is eligible for. All PHAs are required to use this system in accordance with HUD regulations at 24 CFR 5.233. The following information is collected about each member of your household: family composition, full name, date of birth, and social security number. The following adverse information is collected once your participation in the housing program has ended, whether you voluntarily or involuntarily move out of an assisted unit. Any amount of any balance you may owe the Public Housing Authority or the Section 8 landlord up to $500,000, an explanation for balance owed, whether it was unpaid rent, retroactive rent, due to unreported income and/or change in family composition, or other charges such as damages, utility charges, etc. Whether or not you have entered into a repayment agreement for the amount that you owe the Public Housing Authority, whether or not you have defaulted on a repayment agreement, whether or not the Public Housing Authority has obtained a judgment against you, and whether or not you have filed for bankruptcy. Who will have access to this information collected? This information will be available to HUD employees, public housing employees, and contractors of HUD and PHAs. Debts owed and termination information will be maintained in EIV for a period up to 10 years from the end of the participation date. All persons 18 years of age and older must read the debts owed form and sign and date. The next form is Appendix C, Declaration of Section 214 Status. In order to be eligible to receive housing assistance sought, each applicant for or recipient of housing assistance must be lawfully within the United States. Please read the declaration statement carefully and sign and return to the Housing Authority's office. Please feel free to consult with an immigration lawyer or other immigration expert of your choosing. All 18 years of age or older must sign and date this form and declare citizenship. In some instances, you might have to provide additional documentation. The next form, please identify the minors that are lawfully within the United States because they are either citizens by birth, a naturalized citizen, or a national of the United States. Please be advised that whoever knowingly and willfully makes or uses a document or writing containing any false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or entry in any matter within the jurisdiction of any department or agency of the United States shall be fined not more than $10,000, imprisoned for not more than 5 years, or both. Identification requirements include a copy of a Social Security card for each member of the household, also a copy of a birth certificate for each member of the household. The applicant briefing certification. Please indicate that you've received the Housing Choice Voucher tenant briefing packet for the Rental Assistance Program. You also understand the terms of your voucher and have been made aware of the program procedures for requesting voucher extensions, that you have read the materials in the briefing packet and understand the materials, and that the packet is in your possession. You've also received a copy of Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home, How to Protect Your Iowa Families, and A Good Place to Live booklet. Also certified that you have read the Eastern Iowa Regional Housing Authority's Notice of Reasonable Accommodation for Housing Applicants, which was included in your briefing packet. Using your Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher. Your voucher is an agreement between you and the Eastern Iowa Regional Housing Authority. When you sign your voucher, you are agreeing to abide by the family obligations. In exchange, Eastern Iowa Regional Housing Authority will assist you with your rent, provided that you find an approved place within the allotted time frame.
The counties served by the Eastern Iowa Regional Housing Authority include Cedar County, Clinton County, excluding the city of Clinton and the city of Comanche, Delaware County, Dubuque County, excluding the city of Dubuque, Jackson County, Jones County, and Scott County, excluding the city of Davenport. Using your voucher. You must find a rental unit and submit a request for tenancy approval before your voucher expires. You may be eligible for a voucher extension, but it must be requested in writing and granted before the original expiration date of the voucher. Your voucher is good for a total of 120 days. If you don't locate a unit within the allotted time, your voucher will be issued to someone else from the waiting list, and you will be required to reapply to the waiting list. If you or the new landlord do not agree on tenancy, or the selected unit does not pass the Housing Quality Standard inspection, you will be given back the unexpired time on your voucher to search for another unit. For tenancy approval form. The majority of this form is usually completed by the prospective landlord of the unit you want to rent. But the tenant signs and completes the information regarding household on the second page of this form as indicated. This form indicates the prospective landlord and physical address of the unit you wish to rent. It also provides the necessary information EIRHA needs to determine rent reasonableness. In addition, it indicates what utilities are being provided and who is responsible for the cost of those utilities. So it is very important that the entire form is completed before it is submitted to our office. There is sometimes some confusion on number 11, Utilities and Appliances, at the bottom of the first page of this form. The first column indicates the utility or appliance. The second column indicates the fuel type for the utility or appliance. The third column indicates provided by. Provided by simply means that the utility or appliance is provided at this unit. Most utilities and appliances are provided by the landlord. The fourth column indicates paid by. Paid by means who is paying for the cost of the fuel for the utility or appliance. I will give a couple examples on how to fill out the Utilities and Appliances section of the form. The first example is heating, for instance, a furnace. The fuel type is natural gas. The landlord provides the utility, furnace, and the tenant pays the natural gas bill. So, find heating under the first column. Natural gas would be checked under the second column, fuel type. Column 3, provided by, would be landlord because the landlord is providing the furnace. And column 4, paid by, would be tenant because the tenant is paying the natural gas bill. The next example is water. The landlord provides the necessary connections to the city water system, and the landlord pays the water bill. So, find water under the first column. There is nothing listed under column 2, fuel type, on the form, so just skip to column 3. Provided by would be landlord, because the landlord is providing the utility, and column 4, paid by, would also be landlord, because the landlord is also paying the water bill. Once this completed form is returned to our office, it will be evaluated for rent reasonableness and then sent to our inspection team. An inspection will then be scheduled. Finding a home. You may choose to use your voucher in your present home if it's located in EIRHA's jurisdiction. This is called leasing in place. You may also search any listing for available units. Refer to www.eirha.org for the most recent available housing list. Remember that you will be signing a lease with the owner. Make sure that the place you find is in good condition and that you will be able to afford your portion of the rent. Consider the neighborhood. Talk to the neighbors. Is it safe? What schools will your children be going to? Check out nearby shopping and access to public transportation. If you select a unit built before 1978, it may contain lead. Refer to the following link to protect your family from lead poisoning. Applying for a unit. Some landlords will require you to complete an application. Be sure you are prepared to complete the form by having the names, addresses, and phone numbers of your references with you. Some landlords may charge you a fee with the application to cover the expense of screening applicants. The landlord may check with EIRHA to verify your current and prior addresses and landlords. If known, EIRHA is required to provide this information. The landlord may charge you a deposit. The Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program does not pay the deposit or limit the amount a landlord can charge. Most landlords have established standards for accepting or denying an applicant. Standards may include things such as a minimum number of past landlord references, sufficient income to pay rent, good credit history, no felony convictions, no prior evictions, etc. If you believe that you have been denied housing for a reason other than a reasonable standard, you may be a victim of unlawful housing discrimination. The Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Briefing Folder contains information about fair housing laws. For more information about EIRHA's Equal Housing Opportunity Policy and links to download the complaint, refer to the following.
Completing the EIRHA approval process. Once you have found your unit and you and the landlord have agreed to enter into a lease, have your landlord complete the request for tenancy approval form and the lead paint disclosure form. Mail the completed forms to us at 7600 Commerce Park, Dubuque, Iowa 52002, or turn them in at that location. They may also be faxed to 563-556-0348. The completed paperwork will be evaluated for rent reasonableness and sent to the Section 8 HCV inspection team. An inspection will then be scheduled. The tenant or landlord must be present at the inspection. If the new unit needs repairs, the landlord and tenant will be given a list of repairs that need to be completed and the date of reinspection. If you miss your inspection twice, rental assistance may be forfeited and/or terminated. Because we cannot guarantee rent assistance unless the unit passes inspection, we do not recommend that you move into the unit until the inspection passes and the rent is agreed upon. After the unit passes the HQS inspection and the rent the landlord requests is approved, the EIRHA office will determine your portion of the rent and the portion we will pay on your behalf. A contract will then be sent to your landlord for signature. Unit condition. Unit must be decent, safe, and sanitary at all times. Report any problems with your unit to your landlord. If your landlord does not respond, call EIRHA and ask for a complaint inspection. Utilities must be connected at all times. If you allow tenant-paid utilities to be disconnected, you could lose your assistance. Completing the EIRHA approval process. Once EIRHA receives the signed contract and a copy of the lease, the staff will enter the information into the EIRHA computer system. EIRHA will not pay rent until the start date of the housing assistance payment contract. The start date is the first day of the month following the past HQS inspection. EIRHA payments are paid on the first of each month. Following the rules. The family obligations and voucher contain the complete list of all the rules, obligations, and requirements you must follow to avoid losing your housing assistance. Some examples of reasons that could cause you to lose your housing assistance include failing to pay the tenant portion of the rent, damaging the unit or causing disturbances, engaging in drug-related or violent criminal activity, failing to report any changes in household size, failing to report any income for all members of the household, failing to abide by the terms of the lease, etc. If you will be away from your unit for an extended period of time, you must contact EIRHA. EIRHA will not assist families who do not occupy the unit on a full-time basis. The unit must be the only residence of the family. You may lose your voucher if you are evicted. If you are evicted or receive an eviction or termination notice, you must provide EIRHA with a copy of the notice. If EIRHA has evidence that you have violated your obligations, we may decide to terminate your housing assistance. If this happens, you will be mailed a letter stating the reasons for the decision. You may then request an informal hearing regarding the decision. Requests for informal hearings must be in writing. Annual recertification. All families must recertify family composition, income, and any changes in your household annually. EIRHA will begin the annual recertification process about 9 months after your initial lease date. A housing quality standard inspection will be scheduled within 12 to 24 months of initial inspection and will be performed in each succeeding 12 to 24 month period. Zero income. If you are reporting zero income and are required to pay the minimum rent of $50, you may in some instances claim a hardship and ask that the minimum rent be waived. EIRHA may waive the minimum rent for the following reasons: loss of employment, applying for Social Security disability or have been denied and in the process of appeal, pregnant, no vehicle. All income changes must be reported within 10 days to EIRHA. Portability. The Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher allows you to move anywhere in the United States as long as you qualify. Contact EIRHA to determine eligibility. EIRHA prohibits more than one move during any 12-month period. If you wish to exercise portability, you must contact EIRHA. Other PHAs may have a different payment standard than EIRHA. You must follow that PHA's payment standards and all other guidelines. In the event EIRHA must deny your request for portability, you will be notified. If you have any questions after viewing the oral briefing, feel free to call EIRHA staff at 1-800-942-4648 within the state of Iowa, or 563-556-4166, or fax us at 563-556-0348.